Well, the sun is shining. A nice day here in Hallandale Beach as we are off and running a new month. That's right, September 3rd, 2020. And live shot, in fact, from that far turn run. Nice day here again at Gulfstream Park. We've got 9 races on the program with that infield lake in the background shimmering. And excited to bring you from the ground floor up to our 3rd floor clubhouse studios. Jason Blewett, hope you're doing well on this Thursday afternoon as we kick off a new racing week and a big one at that. It still feels maybe a little strange and surreal to saying Hope Kentucky Derby week has been a good one for you so far, but that is the reality in what's been 2020 and a wacky 2020, but absolutely looking forward to not only the action here at Gulfstream over the next 5 consecutive racing cards, but of course what will happen late Saturday afternoon, early Saturday evening beneath the Twin Spires at Churchill Downs. And just a couple of days ago, in fact, the field for Derby 146 was put together, and here we have that cast of 18 led by Tiz the Law, the Florida Derby, Belmont Stakes, and Travers winner at 3-5 on the morning line from stall number 17 for Barclay Tagg, Sakatoga Stable, and Manny Franco. And in fact, the second and third choice wound up inside and outside Tiz the Law with Honor AP, the 2 West Coast horses, in fact, and Honor AP at 5 for John Sheriffs, and of course the Bob Baffert trained Authentic from the outside. Now we've got some rooting interest locally. You've got King Guillermo in the mix, the number 6 for J.C. Avila, and Sammy Camacho at 20-1. Let's not forget Safi's horse in New York Traffic, who's been quite good and nearly won the Haskell last time out. He'll go from stall number 15. But it's been a solid week, quiet, but solid nonetheless for Tiz the Law, who yesterday morning just cantered essentially over a very sloppy Churchill Downs main track. Here he is, in fact, around the clubhouse turn, way out in the middle of that sloppy main at Churchill Downs, beneath exercise rider Heather Smullen. So no worse for the wear is Tiz the Law, who is trying to become just the second horse in history joining Thunder Gulch potentially as a Florida Derby, Belmont Travers, and Kentucky Derby winner. We hope the forecast is a little better come late Saturday when they run the Derby for the 146th time, but it's good to see Tiz the Law settling into the backstretch in the stable area as he cools down after his bath after that Wednesday morning canter there for Barclay Tagg, and it sounds like he'll just jog up to the race, and again, hoping for a better forecast. Locally, though, sunny skies throughout the next few days, and we have got a big weekend, no doubt about it, coming up, considering Saturday is the Grade 3 Smile Sprint. You've got a trio of stakes on the program, and then on Monday, don't forget, it is a holiday after all. I guess the unofficial end of the 2020 summer. We'll have that special live racing Monday, Labor Day program with a regular post of 12 noon, 12:05 Eastern coming away. So really hope you keep it locked here over the next few days as we move forward into a fast and firm 9-race Thursday, where right off the bat, we'll get into my opening leg, or at least the first launching pad, if you will, or launching pad in general, to my early pick 5. So very interesting first race coming up, and I am not in the camp of just throwing up my hands and anointing the 11 Gem Thief, the maiden winner here. I do think she is a must-use just because the way the race plays out on paper, and it's her against a bunch of basically turf unknowns and a slew of first-time starters. But there's something about her, and I think somebody may step forward here and like the turf. So I'm 4 deep to start. I built this play around. I really like Antonio's horse in the second with Edgard and the 5 Donna Camille. Got a big figure last time out and just is properly spotted first time against winners. Got a 3-horse spread in the third, an interesting and very difficult puzzle when you consider the biggest players all like to get involved early, and I'm hoping there's an off-the-pace winner among the 3 that I've got there, and then I'll wrap things up with the 2-horse spread in both the 4th and the 5th. That 1 horse in race number 5 in Chess's Dream, unless there's a good thing firster in that race, I would imagine he's going to be a pretty big favorite, and he might be a horse that is leaned on to an extent in both the early pick 5 and the Rainbow 6. $24 play for me. The first race, though, is really about Gem Thief against a crew of unknowns. Now, obviously, Gem Thief hasn't timed things all that well for Wesley Ward in her 2 races to date. By the way, she's been a beaten favorite in her 2 races to date. But I would say losing to Princess Secret, who, with day out of the office prepping for the Grade 1 Spinaway this coming weekend at Saratoga. You might have a scenario where Gem Thief was fourth against the best 2-year-old filly currently based here in South Florida, at least as far as the dirt goes, and that is Princess Secret. And then she was just no match last time out for Social Exclusion, who did run well in that race on the turf for Steve Cosaris. My issue with Gem Thief is this, though. She just hasn't run all that well in her 2 starts to date. She's been beaten a pole in both of those races by nearly 22 lengths, and I think you can find, I don't know if she's going to be as high as 3-1 in about 50 minutes time. I think you could find better favorites than her. I'm guessing, and that's what makes this a bit of a tricky race, because outside of her, it is a bit of a guessing game. I'm going to go with the 8 Turn It On, who is out of an unraced dam, but there's 2 older synthetic winning siblings in the family, and maybe that'll correlate to that filly improving and liking the turf in her second start for Dave Brady. I see there's some early money for the one Sister is Devil, who I have fifth. Had there been a scratch, she would have drawn in into my super. She's by Daredevil, which I liked, out of an unraced dam. Second foal. And that dam is already foaled a horse who's winless in 6 starts on the turf, and in fact a career maiden. We'll see what happens again in the Thursday opener, race that just kind of rests on the 11 Gem Thief, who I have capping my try. Now we'll hit the main track in race number 2. It's a 2-lifetime 3-and-up filly and mare claimer. My early pick 5 singles in the mix here, and the number 5 Donna Camille, who's got speed, is coming out of a big win, and it does feel as though she's had, even though she's a lower level claimer, she's riding a personal high and a recent ascendancy. And her 2 dirt sprints of late, one in July in the race I'm referring to, Last Out, which was hands down a career best effort. Her dirt sprints have been a real step in the right direction, and I like her coming into this race, putting her over the number 6, Barrio Forever, who's going she needs a bit of a dip in class, which she gets here, and she could certainly get it done, considering Panaria beat her last time out and Marcaston 2-back. Those fillies are way better. Even though Donna Camille is going this way, I think those fillies that Barrio Forever has been beaten by in her last couple, they're just better horses than what she's going to face here in the second. We'll move on to the third. And we step back onto the Gulfstream Park turf course with this filly and mare 2-lifetime claimer. Whereas I work my way through, you've got, as the major players, the 2 biggest players, I think the one Dienda on the rail, and she's got early speed, and she's been a little flat-footed and a little lackluster come crunch time in her races. Emolga has got speed for Armando de la Cerda off a near $55 upset victory here about a month ago. And La Rusia, who's won for a baker's dozen with 5 seconds, she's got speed. So I worked my way through this race, and I said, man, you might have a situation where the top 3 wagering choices are all horses that may negatively affect or adversely affect one another in that first flight. And off that, I'm going to go to the number 4, Cherokee Sound, who, although she lost Wesley Ward as her trainer, ran a fine race, returned 3 weeks later here, late last month for Javier Negrete off the claim, and ran a fine race. And although I don't know, in fact, I don't think she's in the top 2 or 3 just as far as sheer ability goes. She may just pull the right kind of trip in that spot. I'm going to take the number 4, Cherokee Sound, over the rail-posted number 1, Dienda, in that third race. And with the opening 3 down, we'll take a little breather here on this Thursday edition of Gulfstream Park Today. We're back with the Rainbow Six and the Guarantee in just a few moments. About 40 minutes out from the first race, some partly sunny skies and nice breeze, in fact, coming in off the Atlantic Ocean here at 901 South Federal Highway in Hallandale Beach, this great South Florida racing cathedral, and starting a new chapter here as our summer meet continues already September, which in a way is a little tough to believe, but that is the reality, and we've got 9 races waiting for you this afternoon, beginning in about 45 minutes' time. We've also got, meanwhile, Kentucky Oaks Day tomorrow with Gamine versus Swiss Skydiver. That's about as good a 3-year-old filly showdown and matchup I can remember in the Kentucky Oaks, at least as far as recent times are concerned. And we've also got, to coincide with your Kentucky Oaks action, we've got another round in the $100,000 guaranteed Stronach 5, with just the 12% takeout. Laurel Park is basically home base for this sequence tomorrow afternoon on August the 4th or September the 4th, where you've got 3/5 of the sequence up in Maryland, and then here at Gulfstream we'll have our Friday night cap in the 10th, and of course the second race out at Golden Gate Fields, and a 12% takeout in the Stronach 5 tomorrow afternoon. We've got the Smile Sprint here on Saturday. It's going to be a big weekend. Really looking forward to the action locally and throughout the country at Churchill Downs. Getting onto the Rainbow Six today, and we've got that guarantee of $150,000 in the pool. You're going to be looking at, I think, a clear favorite in this first leg in this spot with a horse, or I should say the second leg, with Chess's Dream, who's my single. I'm outside using the 2 favorites in the 4th race, the opening leg, and then I've got the aforementioned Mike Maker horse in the 5th singled, and I've got, again, a little bit of wiggle room. In fact, a lot of wiggle room the remainder of the sequence. If I had to point out, in fact, I'll point out 2 quick races that I like a lot. Both halves of the late double are really good. That 8th race is a cast of 6, where the inside 5 horses are all in white-hot, razor-sharp form, and something's giving there. I mean, someone's going to step up and deliver another big effort. Looking forward to that race, and I do like the nightcap this afternoon, where you've just got a really solid, competitive-looking maiden turf race, sprinting on the grass for the fillies and mares. Safi has my top pick. In fact, you can see, I think that inside post, that red saddle towel with the number 1 is going to do well this afternoon, and Safi's got my top pick in the last race coming in from Fairgrounds. More on her in just a few seconds. Now, the 4th race, speaking of Safi, who's got New York traffic come Saturday at Churchill, he's got the 7 curtains up. And in looking at this race, you've got the speed of the 8, Uno Baby Bird, who's just run fine to date. And I do, if there was something I liked the most about him, the biggest attribute, I think it's his early speed. Yet I'm also going into this, and I'm sure a lot of people will be, thinking the 7 curtains up is just going to be a far more professional, seasoned, second-time starter. He got bet down and was a pretty short price in this 8-horse field, and we'll look at his start. There wasn't a ton to see after the break, but this was a horse that was legitimately off slow. There he is, the number 3, black cap of Frank Calabrese, and he's just behind the 8 ball, and he was never, ever, ever able to get on track after that tough beginning. Coming back as a second-time starter, and Safi is 6 for 20 with his second out dirt-bound maiden claimers. The ROI isn't all that great. It's about $1.70, which is why I didn't send the stat in. But these horses tend to improve a lot for Safi second out, and I like the 7 curtains up over the speedy Uno Baby Bird there in the 4th. Now, our late pick 5 begins in the 5th, and I've already mentioned Mike Maker's Chess's Dream a few times here on the broadcast, and it's basically him, much like Gem Thief, who's now 5-2 in the first race. You've got Chess's Dream in one camp, who, despite being a maiden, just ran a fine race, and it's a race we'll show you back on the on Saturday, August the 9th. He ran fine in his only race to date, and he's got this good effort in the green cap there, launching that 4-wide sweep, going 2 turns on the turf. That is something you just can't say for the others in this race, because most of these horses are either first-time turfers and or first-time starters this afternoon. And you'd also like to think, aside from the fact that Chess's Dream was a firster on the day, horse that beat him, the 2 Castle King with Ronnie Allen, did come back. It was a slowly run race, but ran 3rd in the Proud Man Stakes behind a horse that I like a lot and Hot Blooded here Saturday. So that's an okay race just as far as the quality goes, the field quality, back on that August afternoon for Chess's Dream. Looking at the competition, you've got, speaking of Hot Blooded for Carlos David, he's in the mix with Golovkin, who's a second-time starter by Emshawish. The dam herself was unraced. You've got 5 dirt winners in the family. For the most part, though, it's a family that has a number of career Ophir maidens. That's the 2 Golovkin. I think the 6 heat of the night probably has, even including Chess's Dream in the conversation, Tim Hamza, firster here by Summerfront, probably just has the best straight-up grass pedigree, being by Summerfront. Out of a dam here in Lilbourne, Eliza, who I just missed. I moved down here in late winter, early spring of 2017. She was a Gulfstream Park Stakes turf horse throughout the summer of 2016 and wound up going 3 for 7 on the turf and won the Wasted Tears Stakes, kind of a overnight stakes during the summer months. So she was pretty good, and I'd imagine the 6 heat of the night may run well, along with the 9 Ghostly Prince, who debuts for trainer Kelsey Danner as a colt by Cairo Prince. Kelsey's unleashed a couple of good-looking first-time starting turf horses here this meet. Monorail, who was 4 to 1, and Viburnum, who Ronnie had liked a little bit last week, who won and paid 10 to 1 odds. And the number 9 Ghostly Prince has Miguel, and second full out of a dam who only raced once and went 1 for 1 by Ghost Sapper. Let's get on to the 6th race here. We're on the main track, and in a way, I think there's almost 2 different camps. And I'm looking stylistically speaking, I like the early speed of the number 3 Captain Duke. My one worry is the 2-1 Fast, who's got a little bit of a wild card flair to him. Does he come off the layoff this afternoon? We haven't seen him basically since right around Thanksgiving last autumn at GPW. With Miguel riding, does he break, keep the rider today, and make life difficult for the 3 Captain Duke? If that happens, I think the 7 Rack Gin on the other side of the coin as the off-the-pace rallier, you got to go into this thinking he may not win, but he could get a very good pace to attack. And he's probably a horse just simply searching for an identity at this point. And the drop in for 12-5, given a potential favorable pace scenario, may help to bring out his best as he runs for the lowest claiming price in his career for Bob DeBona. Moving on to the 7th as we volley back onto the turf course and come up on this lower level filly and mare 12-5 to 10-5 claiming race. She's not going to be favored in all likelihood, but I still think the biggest narrative, or at least the biggest bullet point going in, the most important one, is the rail-posted number 1, Avenida Manana, who just, for a lower-level turf-claiming filly, who showed up and wound up winning 4 consecutive races from early December through early April, and did so, not only won those 4 races, basically won 3 straight or 2 straight photos by about this much, and ran in 4 consecutive 12-horse turf races. I think she's terrific. I mean, I really like her as a horse. You got to decide, though, which way does it go with her this afternoon, because she just didn't run well off the Bob Hess claim here back in the middle of June, and that was the race that snapped that 4-race win streak, and we have not seen her since. It's been over 80 days, and she's now off the claim for Jose D'Angelo. I wasn't sure which way it would go with her, and clearly I've got some hesitation and a little bit of consternation concerning the returning Avenida Manana, although, again, I think she's the most important horse in the race. The 4 Sandra is probably going to be favored, and I like her in this spot. In fact, I do think she's going to be favored for Safi. Just a logical contender, and we'll go back to her last start here on the 25th of July. She's just a hard-trying filly, seems to fire a good race just about every time she goes out there. And I had pulled this one right above the quarter pole. She's in that black cap because I wanted to show, despite losing this race in a close photo to Dance Till Dawn, who got the jump on her in those white blinkers, this was not a walk-in-the-park trip for Sandrift, who from stall 10 going a mile on this turf course where you essentially at that 8-furlong trip, you break right on top of the first turn, the clubhouse turn. She was a minimum of 3 wide and maybe at the most a good 4 to 5 wide throughout the entire running of that race, and just a good effort out of her. The 5 Yako always seems to, may not win all that often, but always seems to show up with a good race. And the speed of the 7 Sassy Justice, she got buried last time out in a very intense speed duel. She's a better horse than that, and that speed could serve to go a long way in this race. I would not overlook the 7 Sassy Justice, who's going to be a very good price there, tangling against Avenida Manana and Sandrift in the 7th. The 8th race is our dirt finale, and we'll jumpstart Thursday's late double here. And it's just a hard-hitting field. I mean, really a tough group of horses. And I mean, say perhaps the returning Green Mansions, who has not run since June 20th and is coming back for Fernando Abreu. I mean, between the 5 inside horses, all 5 of them from the rail-posted #1 front-loaded out to the 5 Joe DiBaggio. I mean, all these horses have been really good, consistently sharp, consistently good, and they all meet here on a bit of a collision course. Now, as far as last out wow race goes and who's got the strongest, most recent performance, I don't think it's debatable in this race. I think Vinny Van Gogh, and we'll show you his last start, sloppy track aside, he was gigantic in this race for trainer Peter Walder. And for a horse that's danced a few dances and has already won 7 races, my gut feeling is, my opinion of this horse is, I think this is the best race. His speed figure might not be the highest, but just the way he ripped this race open and took that pressure inside, I think this is the best race Vinny Van Gogh has ever put forth. Claimed out of this romping victory by Victor Barboza Jr., and after they hit the wire, we'll bring up the stat with Victor. My one issue, it's not his consistency, it's not his ability, it's not any of that stuff, and he's got a good stat backing him up, and this has been the kind of horse that just has run well for anybody that's put the tack on him. And I was curious how these Barboza claims, we know Victor's just got good numbers off the claims and he strikes at a high rate. I was curious what last out winners off the claim, and needless to say, any fears I may have had before I punched in this stat were unfounded, because he bats close to 40% with close to a 30-horse sample. The one kind of nagging element with Vinny Van Gogh is the speed in this race. And although he can handle pace pressure, and if he runs the way he did last time out, the others are probably going to be in trouble. But if Sandy's Blaze from his outside hooks him early, and then you've got the speed with Edgard on the rail with the 1 front-loaded, do you have a horse who may just simply be softened up, even if he is in career form? And if that happens, I'm going to go back to the 5 Joe DiBaggio, and I had a chuckle just having Vinny Van Gogh against Joe DiBaggio yet again. And, I mean, there's a bit of a friendly rivalry with these 2 veterans. In hindsight, I just am willing to give Joe DiBaggio a pass for his last, and not that he ran poorly, because he ran fine, and it was another on-the-board finish for him. I just think he was out of his element last time out. He's just not a horse that is a run-and-gun speed type who wants to get involved in a duel with another horse. He's far better as a one-run stalker, one-run closer, and being outside in this, or close to the outside, in a compact cast, and likely getting a favorable trip in that first flight with all around Sandy's Blaze and Vinny Van Gogh, this might be a good spot for Joe DiBaggio to get back to what I think he does best as a grind-you-down type finisher, and I like him in this spot from off the pace for Carlos David. 9th race is pretty good. You sometimes end things with a lower-level claimer, and those races are fine, but it is always nice to cap the card with a nice maiden special weight, and in this case, we're on the turf here with these Florida-bred 3-and-up fillies and mares. The horse to beat is probably the 7 Avuncular, who's just a major player for obvious reasons, where she's almost, to me, like a safety net in this race, because she's run so well, even though she's a maiden, at 5 furlongs, that if none of the new faces step up, this could be the spot. Lifetime start number 6 for this daughter of Uncle Mo. In the other camp, though, you've got a rematching duo off a race we'll show you from back on August 16th, and that concerns the 2-time-tastic, who's the one you're going to want to watch out of the gate. Alluring Rumba, the 6, and the 7-time-tastic, who's in the green, and orange saddle towel, and she's right next to Alluring Rumba, and she's the one there. There's that check and steady, and absolutely had some legitimate trouble early on in this race, where Alluring Rumba didn't have that and was more of a pressing, chasing outside speed. I thought both fillies ran very well. You've now got Alluring Rumba vying inside, and Time-tastic's going to try to put in a run there, sitting 5th right now in the green cap. And both of these horses ran pretty well. I'm wondering, though, just what was in this race. And this was a race, admittedly, that was contested while I had my week sabbatical in the Everglades. So I didn't see this race live. And the fact of the matter, that 5-horse slipping through down inside at 11-1 in Magic Flash, who obviously paid a good price and was a first-time starter, I guess there's a little part of me that worries this field today could be a tougher field. Maybe not extraordinarily tougher, but a better group of fillies that what was in that race. But, I mean, don't get me wrong, Timetastic and Alluring Rumba are still major, major players along with the 7 Avuncular. Then you've got the Saffy filly down inside who just took all sorts of money. In fact, was crushed off the board for Brad Cox in her only start about a week and a half before Christmas at Fairgrounds to close out her 2-year-old season. If you were to ask me the most important angles with this horse, the chart will bring up might be 3rd, 4th, or maybe 5th on the list of things that I think are most important and maybe prescient. But still, I do like the fact of that being said, there's been 3 next out winners in the race that Daddy's Joy is coming out of. So no qualms about a Florida bred running at Fairgrounds that caught a very live field that was fruitful down the line. I was texting a little bit with Saffy yesterday, and I'd already picked her. I mean, the program went final and all that. But I was curious what Saffy had to say about this horse because it does look like this filly by Daddy Longlegs has been working right along and working well at Palmettos. And I got the vibe Saffy was pretty confident here. Told me, and it's my concern, little concern going 5 for the first time on the turf, which is such a niche-like distance. But I think she's got some quality, and I'm going to take the first-time Saffy horse with Edgar and the 1 Daddy's Joy. Nice race to end the day, but we are just getting started in the meantime, and that means we go from our clubhouse studios up to the man upstairs in the booth, the one, the only, Pete Aiello for those Thursday scratches and changes.